All right, so today I just want to go ahead and go over both of these documents in a little bit more detail. You can read through them, and if it's enough for you, then that's great, but I just want to go ahead and elaborate on a few of these things. So the first handout I want to talk and walk you through is the Persuading Others or Meeting Your Audience Needs and Expectations handout. This is just meant to help you better understand how to properly persuade your readers of your proposal and any other future technical documents. So there's two ways you can go about persuading your audiences, and that is using reason or values. And really, we usually use a little bit of both. Depending on the document, you may use one more than others. So almost every single technical document is persuasive in nature, from our resumes where we're trying to persuade the reader to hire us, to our proposal where we're trying to persuade the readers to go through with our solution. So the two ways we can go about persuading: reason and values. When we persuade with reasoning, we're thinking of logos if we're thinking of the three logical appeal or the three rhetorical appeals. So we're going to try persuading using logic or logically constructed statements. This can be using examples or evidence, thinking of real or realistic statements. So some logic-based strategies where we're thinking of logically constructed statements, we're thinking of, if and then, or cause and effect, better and worst, cost and benefits. Statements, thinking of, if and then, or, better and worse, taking a look at, or a cause and effect, or things that we would see in our problem statement of our proposal. This is where you probably would be appealing to their common sense and beliefs. You're really trying to illustrate what's going on, what's the situation, and what happens if this doesn't get solved. Another way you can go about persuading using reasoning is using examples and evidence. So this is kind of the facts and data, numbers, anything like that, that usually people associate with being truthful. So this is providing real and realistic support to the claims you are making, where you are using facts and data that you can maybe have pulled from other outside resources. Maybe you're quoting some experts in the field that you interviewed through email or in person. This is a great place when you're thinking of examples and evidence in your problem statement, for instance, where you can maybe have a graph or chart or some sort of infographic to help better illustrate your problem at hand. So remember, you need at least two for your proposal. I'm fine if you pull facts and data from other outside sources, and then maybe you take that data and then you make it into your own graph. I mostly want you guys to practice creating your own infographics or graphic elements. But if you are going to use facts and data from an outside source, make sure you do cite the source, of course. All right, and then the second way you can go about persuading is using values. So this is where you're appealing to their goals and ideals, thinking of their needs, values, attitudes, anything that you share with your audience. So trying to find some sort of common ground, and this is usually done through, researching who you are writing to, seeing what they actually care about. Once you really understand that and how maybe you are aligning on a few of them, you can start to frame some of your perspectives or ideas. So this is where you're using words and phrases, any theme, just anything like that you see maybe commonly said on their website or on any sort of brochures that do reflect their point of view and values. So maybe you're using very similar phrasing where you're pulling up some common themes on, education or literacy or something. If that's something that they're really strongly associated with, then maybe you're integrating some of that language into your own without just completely mimicking or stating verbatim what they've said before. So I have a breakdown, a little bit more detail of all of this. So goals and ideas, thinking of goals as something your audience wants to achieve. So maybe you're writing to a foundation that wants to, eliminate child illiteracy. So your goal would then, maybe your goal is to integrate more books into the classroom or the after-school programs. So that would be some sort of common goal. Needs are fundamental or basic requirements for survival. So thinking of needs, maybe it's easy to think of a city government official or the mayor, somebody who has a sort of fundamental requirement that they need to succeed in their job to keep on, being elected or something like that. Maybe they need to obviously keep their community safe or clean. Thinking of something like that. Shared values, thinking of what you have in common. What do you actually care about? Value, pretty, common sense and stuff that you find usually in their mission statement or about section. Attitude, so thinking about what is their attitude towards your problem. Do you share the same perspective? If so, then that would be a great audience to write to. So when you're framing, you're locating common words, phrases, and themes in your audience's websites, maybe their different profiles or other documents that they have out regularly, and you're using them to frame your own ideas or maybe your own way of selling your solution. So this just helps you better appeal to their own values or attitudes towards certain subjects. So for example, say your audience believes in progress. So maybe you're going to use a logical map of some sort or brainstorm similar words or phrases that encapsulate that same idea without just repeating, we believe in progress, we believe in progress. Maybe you state a lot of stuff focused on development or evolution, improvement, moving forward, things like that. So when you're thinking of possible audiences, just like I mentioned before, the audience is entirely up to you, but you can, you want to think of, who has the power to change this problem and would they actually read the proposal? Because them reading the proposal is key to kind of integrating some of that change. So you can think of foundations like McCune or Daniels Fund, city council like government officials or the mayor, small business owners, so local small business, UNM official like a dean or department head, any sort of private investors, maybe investment firms, or anybody else that you can honestly think of. I'm fine with that, but you do want to make sure you have a clear audience in mind. So the second thing that I want to go ahead and talk about is the qualifications and cost benefit section of your proposal. So sometimes this gets a little bit tricky and there is a lot of confusion. So the qualifications section is really the section that sells your readers on you as an organization or you as a group of individuals or an individual to solve this problem. So this comes directly after the solution statement. So maybe they see your solution as being great and well suited for this problem, but now they want to see if you're the right one to do this job. So thinking of your own credentials, showing that you are able to do this, maybe past experience, your education, some things that you actually care about or are involved in. This is just helping demonstrate that you are the most or best qualified to do this job, and it helps you sets you apart from other groups or organizations currently out there trying to solve this, or maybe who are also out there submitting proposals. So 3 ways you can go about filling out this section. You can maybe combine a few of these. Is describe your personnel. So describe who's on the team, who is going to be going through with this problem or this solution. Describing the organization or describing previous experience. So when you're going about writing the qualifications section, you can write as yourself as a student at the university or maybe at your current job. You can represent an organization that's maybe already out there solving this issue. So if you're tackling homelessness, maybe you are representing a nonprofit. And if you're going to do that, then you would just research that nonprofit and you would, go accordingly for describing maybe people who would be involved with this or describing the organization's mission statement or other projects they've been involved in. I've had students in years past represent Joy Junction, so they went ahead and researched their mission statement. They saw, the different types of programs that they have and initiatives for homeless folks. So it's really up to you. You can, represent yourself as students. You can do a student group. Maybe you can make up one. I'm fine with that. The big thing is make sure you're not lying on there. So if you say that you're if you're representing yourself, don't say you have a PhD in, nuclear physics unless you actually do have one. Things like that. So I do provide some examples. So if we're describing personnel, this is an excerpt from the Camp Rising Sun proposal where we're describing one of the heads or the director of the program. So in this description of personnel, she's not talking about, every single thing that she's been involved with or even, thoroughly describing, other things she's volunteering with or, her goals and achievements. Maybe like you would in an about section. Instead, she's focusing on the things that are very pertinent to Camp Rising Sun themselves. So being involved in physical therapy, having been a physical therapist, having a son with autism who's on the autism spectrum or who has ASD, and she is also the founder of Camp Rising Sun. So things like that obviously make her a relevant person to be on this team. A description of the organization is another way to go. This is usually kind of thinking of the mission statement or the history or background. This is taken from the Park Pride proposal, where we have some information on when it was founded and what exactly they do or advocate for. And then you can also describe previous experience. So you don't want to go into too much detail, but you do want to maybe walk through some of the things people have been involved in, if that is relevant. Again, taken from the Park Pride proposal. So here we just have, just a brief list, almost like you would find on a resume of past things you've been involved with. So the other section that comes directly after your qualifications is the cost benefit section. And this is kind of the concluding section of your proposal where you're making a few different moves. So you're obviously signaling that this is the end of the proposal. You're not including anything that's super new, other than, maybe a further breakdown of the cost. So here's where you really state the cost of the project. So maybe this is a great solution, they're really on board with it, but they honestly, when it comes down to the end of the day, they want to know how much this is going to cost them. So you're going to go ahead and state the cost. And this is where it would be a great spot for some sort of table or chart. So just like this student example, they have a chart integrated in here, but they also go ahead and describe some of the cost in here as well. So that's really important, is to kind of balance the two, but you don't want to, maybe state every single cost, but maybe the total cost, or something that kind of helps better explain that than something you would do just in the table. After you go ahead and describe the cost, you're going to hit that with the benefits, right? So a project like this that's in the $1 billion range, you probably want to go directly to the benefits, right? Because that's a lot of money. So you really want to help them look towards the future, show how this is directly solving the problem, and also can benefit themselves. So this group, went ahead and talked about further employment opportunities and making, more money and things like that. So you can do a cost benefit like, money that this group would again receive. You could do it like benefit to society or to the community or to the group itself. So the big thing is, you're just summarizing any sort of benefits and describing this future if your readers say yes. So also with this section, you're going to thank them for their time and provide some contact information, some of that obligatory response that you find in a lot of documents. You don't necessarily need a separate section for the conclusion. This all can go in the cost benefit section. We have this just nicely stated right after the end of the benefits description, where we have this just general thanking them for their time. So that's all I have for now. If you have any questions about these two sections or your proposal more in general, go ahead and post any questions to the discussion board or email me directly. All right. And also remember that your outline of your proposal, so this isn't just, it's not every single section, but just an outline of what you're planning to do for each section, needs to be submitted. I decided to extend the date until this Sunday at midnight. So even though it's during spring break, that's the only thing that you have to work on. And then just submit that by Sunday at 11:59. All right. Have a great rest of your spring break.